Mark here. This video is some of my favorite album covers, and I'll try to explain why as I go through them too. And I've been trying to think all week. Some just popped into my head right like that. Others, I had to really think about what I had in my collection that I could pull out that I thought might be, and some of them were, and some of them were, okay, well, I'll use that one. So anyway, I'll get started here. First one, and this is not Iconics. So I know you've got Pink Floyd's Dark Side of the Moon, obviously is iconic. White Album, Beatles' White Album. Nirvana's Nevermind. These are, you look at the cover and you know exactly what it is. Those didn't really fit in. I like to look at a record cover and just be able to stare at it and try to figure out. In some instances, something just kind of pops to me and I really like it. So anyway, to get started with Led Zeppelin 1. If you saw my video of the music room, you saw the blimps. And then if you saw another one of my additions to the music room, you saw I got a couple more new blimps, which are now hovering above me. And when I do a music room update, the changes that I've made, I'll show those. But anyway, always like that one, Led Zeppelin 1. Awesome album, awesome cover. It's not my favorite Led Zeppelin album, but an awesome album nonetheless. Another one, The Ultimate Sin by Ozzy Osbourne. Now, you're going to see a lot of heavy metal in here because I think, heavy metal artists want like a cover that pops and is awesome. And this has always been one of my favorites since a kid. I just love the orange in the background and Ozzy on that, whatever the hell he's supposed to be. Looks like some sort of beetle dragon. I don't know. But beetle dragon. Anyway, just always thought that was an awesome album cover. Diary of the Madman, my favorite. Blizzard of Oz, probably number 2. So this was good. Not one of my favorites. Probably like Bark at the Moon better than that one. All right, next up, Judas Priest, Defenders of the Faith. Okay, this was kind of a tough one. This one I think is an awesome cover. It was kind of between these two, Painkiller and Defenders of the Faith. Painkiller is just an awesome album cover with kind of like the wheels as blades and that winged knight or whatever it is kind of going over the city. But this one I think is the best one for me. One, because this was the first concert I ever went to. And it's seen better days, but I still have the tour book. I remember going to see this as a kid. My uncle took me and my brother to see them. And so this one beats out any of the others. Screaming for Vengeance, Rock and Roll. Anyway, and of course, Ram It Down didn't do anything for me, music-wise or cover-wise. And then the opening band for Defenders of the Faith concert was a Canadian band called Kick Axe. Now, I had this album. This is not the one that I had as a kid, but they opened for Defenders of the Faith in Michigan. And so I had to run out and pick this up. I just think that's just a cool cover. And I remember loving it as a kid. And then later on when I sold a lot of my records to move on to CDs and cassettes, unfortunately, this was one to go. And then I was just digging through bins at kind of a local record store, and this was on sale, and it was only like $3. And I'm like, I have to have it. I had that one as a kid. I just have to have it again, listen to it, and not quite what I remember, but it's a cool cover. But then as a kid, you know, obviously your taste change, and you know, I was like, heavy metal gotta have everything. Saxon, it doesn't, you know, it doesn't matter. Thor, you know, all these bands that I can listen to again. Saxon's not that bad, but you know, I listen to again and just think, I'm not really as into it as I was. Awesome cover though. All right, next on Simple, but I like it and have always. This is a cutout. This is Seventh Dream of Teenage Heaven by Love and Rockets. I just always, you know, Love and Rockets is an awesome band. One of my favorite bands for a while. This is a gatefold, and a cutout, a little cutout right here. But you know, I just love the emblem with the blue background and the red heart and the black circle. Just always thought, you know, simple but cool. I always thought that was cool. Another one I think I've mentioned before is Technical Ecstasy by Black Sabbath, because it's just, the album to me sucks, but I remember seeing this as a kid and just trying to figure out what the hell was going on with this thing riding up what looks like an escalator and spitting on something that looks like a building here, or, you know, I don't know, just egg-shaped head. I always just thought it was just cool artwork. So anyway, another one that I mentioned before, I have it over here, is of course Little Feat, Waiting for Columbus. This is another one that I always just thought was awesome as a kid. I remember seeing it in a poster at the record store and just thinking, with the tomato in the hammock, it was just, you know, some of these I really like just because it's like, what, you know, not necessarily what were they thinking when they came up with it so much as what were they thinking? I don't know. But no, I mean, just, you know, who would have thought to do that? A tomato in a hammock outside. Just awesome. Anyway. Alright, another one that I always thought was cool as a kid was King Crimson and the Court of King Crimson. You know, just that big face right there that just, you know, kind of almost wanting to scream at you or something. Just a cool cover. A good album. A lot of people say, man, this is just a great album. No, it's a good album. I wouldn't say it's by any stretch of the imagination my favorite. Okay, another one, Alan Parsons Project, I, Robot. This is kind of another one like Technical Ecstasy, almost, you know, when you got the kind of escalators and this robot head thing here, and just, you know, just kind of one of those weird things. Technical Ecstasy, I think the cover I like a lot better than this, but it is an interesting cover with, you see kind of the robot's head is clear and you get to see all these weird things inside of its head, and just, again, one of those things. A lot of these, obviously, I'm saying I saw as a kid, and that's kind of one of those things that sticks into your head, because I remember going to the record stores. My mother used to drop me off when we were in the mall, and the first place I'd head was to the record store, and I'd just start flipping through albums, not really knowing the music, but just looking at the covers. And so a lot of these just kind of stick out as memories from my youth, I guess you could say. Animals, Pink Floyd. Like I mentioned, I'm not showing iconic albums. I mean, this is a great album, awesome album. Dark Side of the Moon is an awesome album. Wish You Were Here is an awesome album. Obviously, those two would be kind of probably, Dark Side of the Moon definitely, Wish You Were Here probably would be considered iconic. And on my phone, I have that as one of my screensavers, or, you know, cover, whatever you call them. But anyway, you know, I always just thought, you know, the pig kind of floating above the building here, I always just thought that was cool. And I did see the documentary where they talked about, you know, shooting the cover for this, and how one of the pigs originally like floated away and ended up in somebody's yard, and so they had to do, anyway, it was cool. But I always just thought this was a cool looking cover, and it doesn't say Pink Floyd or Animals anywhere on here. It's just awesome. All right, next up, kind of different from KMFDM's other stuff, But this is Skuld versus KMFDM, and so I don't know if this would be a Skuld album or a KMFD album, but anyway, just I always just thought that was kind of cool. And then you can see the back of her head there. So, and I think this one was in one of my most valuable record collection things. All right, next up, Bionic by Christina Aguilera, another cool one. Obviously, I wasn't a kid when this came out, or Skuld versus KMFDM, but just it's different from obviously Lotus or Stripped or Back to the Basics or any of those other ones. Awesome album, I really like it. So, but just kind of the split, robot and then her face, and then on the back, kind of the robot and her face on either side. But so anyway, I just, that's kind of one of those things that really just popped into my head within the past few days to pull out. And because I like to look at an album and just start stare at it and look at it. And obviously Love and Rockets wasn't that kind of situation. Here's another one that's probably considered iconic, Master of Puppets, again an awesome album. The crosses in the cemetery with all the strings going to the crosses from the Metallica up here. Again, awesome album. I was still a teenager when this came out, and I remember listening to this over and over and over and over again. But yeah, it's just again, the orange. I like the orange. Orange always kind of adds a little spice to it. All right, Zappa. This is the one, Overnight Sensation. Just kind of the Dolly-esque look to it. It's orange thing, and then just a lot of stuff going on, a lot of stuff to look at, a lot of stuff to just kind of, and then there's the back of it. It's just, you can sit there and look at it and read, all the Frank Zappa things up there, the little flyers and, everything. But I thought that was cool. Again, not one of my favorite albums, but good album nonetheless, and a cool cover. Another great album, Theater of Pain by Motley Crue. Again, kind of the red and orange. That just makes it pop to me again. But I always thought that was a cool cover. Great album. Like it. Next one, I remember I had this on cassette. This is Public Image Limited album. And if you got the cassette, it said cassette. So if the record says album, and then you can see here, label. So I just thought that was pretty clever. But that's just cool. And this is also a really good album. I saw them in concert. They opened up for well, they didn't really open up. It was kind of, I think it was the Cranberries. I don't remember, but it was Public Image Limited in New Order. But anyway, I just thought that was cool. Again, cassette said cassette. And I don't know if they came out with a CD to say CD. I might have it if I do. I didn't pull it out. All right, next we have the Rolling Stones, It's Only Rock and Roll. Again, kind of a lot going on here. It's, you see Mick Jagger and, the guys here, and then all these ladies around here. And again, no the Rolling Stones. No, It's Only Rock and Roll. There's no words on it, no lettering on it. So again, that was a cool one. Another cool one, I think, and a great album is The Cars, Candy-O. And again, it's just like the sketch of the car, and then the drawing of the woman, painting of the woman on that sketch of the car. It's again a great album. Their first album was my favorite, probably the best one, but this was a good album, and just like that one. Next one is a newer one, Renaissance by Beyonce. I just thought this was cool with the completely black background. It might be difficult to see with that on there, but it's just Beyonce on that crystal horse. So the black with the shiny crystal looks just, I think it just kind of contrasts and pops out. So I always thought that one was cool. And of course, you can't have a favorite album cover selection without Iron Maiden. And this is the toughest one. Because they have so many great albums out, or great albums and album covers. So it was between Somewhere in Time and Seventh Son of Seventh Son. I have both of the posters. Power Slave was another one that was kind of up for grabs. You know, I think it was, this is a definite. Somewhere in Time is definitely an awesome album cover. This is one that you could just sit there and stare at and just look at and just see Eddie there with his gun and just in his like futuristic type of thing. I just thought that was cool. This would be number one. And then it was kind of between Power Slave and Seventh Son of Seventh Son. This was a tough one, but I went with Seventh Son of Seventh Son. Because just, you know, whatever, he's just kind of hovering over the water with that, and then, you know, he's got the spine going down there, and he's got the heart, and then if you look on the back, just more awesomeness there, you know, with these like ghost things coming out of what looks like ice, and then another Eddie from, you know, the earlier albums where he had the long hair. You know, I think that's like more from like Number of the Beast, that look where he's kind of like this. But anyway, so yeah, obviously Iron Maiden would definitely have to be like in the best album cover selections for me, at least. Anyway, tell me how I'm wrong. Comment, like, subscribe, etc. Anyway, hope you enjoyed it. Thanks for watching. Bye.